Hey everyone, my name is Hannah and I wanted to introduce you to my YouTube channel. Today's video is to share with you a quick introduction into how I got started in the Western industry, but more importantly, I want to share with you my vision for this channel, and that is to share the Western industry. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about how I got started, why I love this industry so much, and what I want to share with you. So let's get into it. Not growing up in the Western industry is actually the reason that I care so much about it. Most of the people in my life don't work in agriculture. They don't have their own cattle or their own horses. They don't farm or ranch. They don't rodeo. And because of that, I've actually been able to see how misunderstood this world really is. I grew up in the suburbs outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, very far from Texas, very far from the Western lifestyle. But I was always happier outside and happier in the country. I was a horse girl from a young age, begging my mom to let me take lessons, begging my parents for a horse. That enjoyment and the love that I have for it was always there. I just didn't necessarily live in the perfect area for it. I graduated from the University of Pittsburgh with my degree in marketing, and as much as that time there was such a blessing, I had the opportunity to dance on their dance team there. I had the most incredible experience, and I have some of the best friends from that time in my life, but being there was really hard. It's an urban campus, and living in the city was really, really hard for me. There was so much that I loved, but my heart was always so torn because I really wanted to be outside. I wanted to be with animals. I wanted this lifestyle, but I just didn't really know how to make it happen yet. When I was graduating from Pitt, I only applied to jobs that were in Texas. I knew that I would have to take a corporate route just because I didn't have any background in the agriculture industry. So my game plan all along was to work in corporate and then allow that to fund my time in the Western industry, and it was my ticket to Texas where I could be more involved and become more involved in this lifestyle. I graduated in 2020, and amongst COVID and some other crazy things, I finally got to Texas in March of 2021. Knowing that I wanted to end up outside of the city and in this world, I did strategically change my hinge location to a small town in Texas, and I found my now husband. My husband grew up on his great-grandfather's ranch, and so that was really my first dipped toe into the water, if you will, of this world. They had some family cows, and I remember when I moved here, slowly learning about everything, and I felt like a kid in a candy store. I felt like a kid on Christmas morning. I couldn't learn enough. I wanted to be out with the cows more. I wanted to know more about the industry. I wanted to know more about ranching and agriculture and rodeo. Everything was so interesting to me, and it was interesting to me how normal it was to the people that have always lived this lifestyle. And so really early on, I felt like I was in this middleman position between the people that know nothing about agriculture and then the people that grew up 4th, 5th generation ranchers, and I was sort of in this in-between space. Something that was so normal to so many people here was honestly magical to me, and I just wanted to learn more. When I first moved here and all of this was so new to me and all of it was so interesting, I started sharing about it on TikTok because it felt like a whole new world to me, and I was learning so much and I thought it was so interesting that I wanted to share it because I thought it was the most incredible thing ever. And so I thought other people would think it was interesting, and I think that the Western industry, people have an interest in it, but it's really misunderstood. I think especially with things like Yellowstone, you get a glimpse into the Western lifestyle, but it's not necessarily real. And so I felt like I had this unique position to share what I was learning, share how new it was to me, and share this sort of juxtaposition, if you will, between the normal non-agriculture world and the people that have lived it their whole lives. And I was sort of in between sharing both sides of it. And I feel like YouTube is a better place to talk about these interesting topics at length. You really have a lot more time. You can get into the nitty-gritty details. And so this channel is to talk about all the things in the Western industry that I'm learning through the lens of somebody that did not grow up in this industry. And the reason that I think that that's interesting is because I think the people that were born and raised ranching, rodeo, agriculture, a lot of this stuff is so second nature to them, which isn't a bad thing at all, but I think it's so normal and so second nature that they don't know what other people might be interested in. And so I can bridge this gap between people that have no experience whatsoever and then the complete veterans in the industry. You know the kaleidoscopes that you would play with when you were a kid, and you would look in the light and twist it and all of the colors and shapes would come together to form these really cool patterns? That's how I see the Western industry, because it can be very, very difficult work. It is very difficult work. It can be a very thankless job, but it's so beautiful and so meaningful and so filled with purpose that I can't describe it as anything else other than magical, and not in a rose-colored glasses way, but because it's so meaningful. I want to share that with you. I want you to see this industry through the lens of a kaleidoscope. I want you to see how cool it is, how incredible it is, how much there is to learn, all that goes into it. And I want to show you how intensely interesting this industry is. So that's why I wanted to make this channel. I want to show you all of the details in the Western industry that come together to make that beautiful kaleidoscope, the forgotten about work, the depths of the difficulties, but how important and meaningful it is. And I want a really maybe misunderstood, misrepresented, and maybe even forgot about industry. I want to show you truly how powerful, purposeful, and incredible and interesting it really is.